Hello everyone, my name is Dewey Crapo. I'm the Executive Director of A Gift of Hope Adoptions. And today we're talking about, we're going to have an interview with three people who've been involved in the adoption process. We have Stephanie, who has placed a child for adoption. We have Ruth sitting in the middle, who is the child that was placed for adoption. And we have Deb, the adopted mother of Ruth, here today with us. So let's start out with you, Stephanie. You worked with an adoption agency when you were pregnant. This was about 20 years ago,
yes.
Right? Yeah. And you picked Deb here and her husband Craig, who can't be with us right now, but you picked them as the parents for your child. Could you tell me a little bit about how that worked for you? Did you look at profiles of families?
Right. I was given 3 different profiles at a time. I could have as many as I wanted over time, but just, I think, not to overwhelm me. So I got 3, and one of them was theirs, the first 3. And I just knew immediately after reading it, it was almost like I was meeting them in person. They were just honest about who they were. I could sense what their marriage was like, and their relationship just seemed fun. And Deb even mentioned loving Twizzlers, and I was eating a lot of Twizzlers while I was pregnant with Ruthie.
And I hate Twizzlers.
Yeah.
And
just they were very honest about, how long they had waited for a child. And that just really spoke to my heart. I just felt they were trustworthy. They just spoke to me so clearly as soon as I read it. It was a pretty easy decision for me.
Did you actually meet them in person before Ruth was born?
I did, yes. We met, I believe, just one time before I had Ruthie. I was about 7 or 8 months pregnant, pretty far along, and we just got to get together and meet, and that just sealed it for me. I mean, they were in person what they were on paper, and so I just felt very good about them as the parents of the baby I was carrying.
Did you talk with them on the phone also before meeting them?
No, we just met that one time.
Okay. Okay, Deb, let me talk to you now. When you started the adoption process, what did you think about the idea of contact with, the birth mother possibly staying in touch with you for a long time? I know 20 years ago, the idea of contact between birth parents and adoptive parents on a permanent basis was just a new concept.
Very new concept. I don't think we really thought, I didn't think down the road, or I don't think I understood the concept of contact, what that meant. I think it just, in my mind, you meet the birth mom, and I don't think I gave it a thought in terms of, a year from now, or 10 years, or 20 years from now, what kind of relationship. I think I was more focused on, I want a baby, and I thought that was my main focus. So I wasn't really, unfortunately, to answer your question, I guess, not be able to answer your question, I wasn't really focused on contact. I think, if anything, it seemed more, I don't want to say mysterious, but there was this whole concept out there of, you have a birth mom and you have a baby and we're adopting, and this person is the baby's birth mother, but I'm going to become a mother, and so there was there's so much emotion originally wound up in all of it that it was hard to process through, okay, what kind of a relationship do I have with this woman who is placing this gift in my arms and allowing me to be a mother. I think it was all very confusing, mysterious in some ways.
It was kind of surreal.
Surreal, yeah. Yeah, I think surreal in the fact that I don't know how a woman has the strength to do something like that, and yet if she didn't have the strength to do it, I would never be a mother. And so in the whole process, it's just it's surreal. It's a surreal process.
Stephanie, did you talk with your agency about contact?
Yes, we talked about, I think, getting different maybe pictures and letters for like the first year. really, I think though, as you spoke, I was thinking we were more focused on our relationship than our relationship
Right.
for years.
Right.
It was more Deb and I relating to one another. And I think part of that was just because I wasn't ready to relate with Ruthie yet. I was more comfortable with Deb. I knew Deb. I loved Deb. And I didn't know Ruthie. And so, we didn't focus on that relationship until recently. So they spoke of that. But I felt I was so secure. I mean, I would get pictures and love the letters and pictures. And Deb did a great job of writing me letters and the sweetest pictures that I still have all of them. And so it was never something that I thought about or longed for because it was just happening.
You didn't have to worry about it really.
No.
Well, and that was an agency requirement.
Right.
Yeah.
For our specific agency, we agreed to, I think it was 1 month, 3, 6, 9, and 12 months. That we agreed that we would contact not only the birth mom, but the birth dad as well. And that after that, it then became a decision for us as a group how we wanted to proceed.
Okay.
But that was the initial agreement that we made through the agency.
And everybody lived up to it.
Right. Well, yes, I think you wrote a couple of
I
letters
wrote it a
back.
couple times.
I don't
Right.
believe you were required.
I wasn't.
She was not, the birth mom was not required to respond, and Ruth's birth dad never responded to us. But then it was at the end of the year when we then corresponded through the agency and decided to continue at some level.
Okay. Okay, Ruth, let's talk to you a little bit.
Okay.
Focus on you for a minute here. Can you tell us a little bit from your perspective as the child that is the subject of this adoption and this contact? What's it like dealing with both, an adoptive mother and a birth mother, especially when it comes to the contact or lack of contact?
Well, I won't forever forget the first time we all really met together as two families. And I got back to school and someone asked me, "So how is it like sitting at a table with your two mothers?" And I was like, "I know, that's not how it is. It's not like, I don't know how to describe the relationship between, my mom is my mom and Stephanie is my Stephanie, I can't describe the relationship, because there's just no way to describe it. I have love and admiration for Stephanie and so much respect and thankfulness in my heart for her. But my mom is my mom at the end of the night, and that was, that's something I think is really, now with the open adoptions and birth moms and moms being at birthday parties together, I think that line kind of gets very faded, and I think that I really appreciate that Stephanie's choice was for my mom to be my mom and for Stephanie to be my Stephanie. And that's just the way that it was, and I really appreciate my mom raising me to love Stephanie the way that I do. And so to go back to the question of if it's odd or weird, that's what you asked, right? That it was just,
Well, just,
Just
describe
like-
it from your perspective.
and it gets kind of sometimes like you're walking on eggshells because, especially because we're women and we have lots of emotions, and I'll speak for myself, there's times where I'm insecure about my relationship with my mom or my relationship with Stephanie, or, oh, I haven't called her, I haven't done this, or I haven't done that, and, but I think that comes with the territory, the insecurity, and so.
And the newness.
And the newness, and something I said in the car earlier, my dad told me years ago that this is our first time being adoptive parents. This is Stephanie's first time being a birth mom, and this is your first time being adopted. So we're all new to this, and we have to be sensitive to one another, and so just learning that, and learning that we all have a common goal and a common heart for one another. It's really important.
I guess in some situations, there's no contact at all between birth parent and adopted child and adopted parents, or Do you think this is the better way to have contact?
Well, as a female, I long for that relationship. So I really do. I really appreciate the way that Stephanie and my mom have chosen to have this relationship for me, and it's just, I can't even tell you how thankful I am. Just, it's having another family who loves me, and I have just that much more support. And I think something for me that I would appreciate as a birth child is more communication between, now, as Stephanie was saying, her focus was on she and my mom early on, and I feel like it's a little bit come away from that, and it's me and Stephanie's relationship and me and my mom's relationship. But I really would love for the three of us to all have a relationship together. So I feel like that's very important for the birth mom and adoptive mom to remain in a relationship, just for my sake.
Yeah. Well, I understand over the years, your families do get together.
Mhm.
Stephanie's, your family, and Deb's family, and you guys will meet sometimes. And has that changed over the years? Is it more now than it was then, or?
Yes.
Well, one of the reasons being that Ruth now lives so much closer to her birth family than she does to us because of college. And so it's been wonderful to know that she has, since she is so far away from us, that she has another family that will watch over her and have her come for the weekend, and she can do her laundry and just be a part of their family. It's nice to know that she has that other family.
And not that hasn't been weird at times, honestly, if we're being real. But I think something I appreciate though is that Stephanie is Stephanie to me, and she's not trying to be well, I'm going to correct you, and you didn't make your bed this morning, but just she's made it very clear, and I feel like we've all kind of settled into knowing where we're at in the whole scheme of things.
Okay. Well,
And
go
I
ahead.
think also, I chose this family for her, and I made that decision that she wasn't going to be mine, and so my heart's desire is for her to have a great relationship with her mother, and so, we haven't had that conflict at all. Although I think Ruthie kind of feels like, I'm sorry I haven't called in so long, or whatever. I never feel that way because that's her family. And I love to love on her when she's there, and we adore when she comes and adore her. But her family is her family, and I don't feel at all threatened by that, or that I want to be in that place at all. That's not my place. I chose something different for her.
Well, Stephanie, would you have done anything differently about contact? Looking back, now it's been 20 years. Do you wish you'd done anything differently? Do you think maybe I should have done this approach or not done that?
I think looking back 20 years later, in a 40-year-old body and heart and mind, yes, so many things are different than they were at 20 for me. I feel like I didn't communicate well. I feel like I just kind of needed a moment to grieve. And then I just feel like I kind of, like Deb said, I wrote a few times, but I didn't write as much as she did. And I just kind of feel like I just backed away and needed to just move past it. You don't want to stay in your grief. And so when I don't have Ruthie with me as a 20-year-old woman, my grief's going to stay there. And so I needed to move past that. But the biggest thing I would change is I probably would have at least had some sort of counseling for that first year to show me that, okay, what you're feeling it's normal. Maybe you should write now, or they might enjoy hearing this. Or I think it would have been nice to have a coach walk along at least that first year with me. Because I was immature, and you don't know what's going on in the other family, and they don't know what's going on in our family, and so that's the biggest thing I would change, is to have some help, at least for a year at a minimum.
Okay. Deb, same question for you. Looking back 20 years ago, is there anything you would have done differently?
in terms of my contact
Yes.
with Stephanie, I felt as though I had given. I wanted her to experience Ruth's growing up. I wanted her to experience things like, oh, she's taken her first steps, or she has her first tooth, or I think I did not know what Stephanie needed from me, and so I wanted her to feel as though she was a part of this person's life. And I don't even know, we've never talked about it, I don't even know if that was something you wanted, but
You did a very good job of that.
I wanted you to feel as though
Right.
she was not wondering, questioning, well, what's going on now? And is she talking yet? And what is she saying? And I wanted her to know that Ruthie was healthy and happy and growing like a normal little girl, and that there was nothing to just, I guess, encourage her decision, to say, you made the right decision. She's blossoming, she's blooming, she's growing, and so I don't know that I would have changed anything on my end from the contact that I gave. I would have liked to have had more from Stephanie. I would have liked to have known that she was okay, that her grieving had ended, that she wasn't feeling guilty, that she wasn't regretting, that she had made that decision, that it was still the right decision 5 years, 6 years, 7 years down the road, that yes, I made the right decision. So I think I would have only wanted to hear that, but you know what, that wasn't my place. My place was to do what I needed to do. And that's obviously different for different adoptive moms. Maybe no other adoptive mom wants that. Maybe they all feel like, oh, great, I got a letter from her once, and
I got my baby.
I got my baby, I'm done. But I wanted to know that she was okay,
Yeah.
and that it wasn't such a painful thing for her,
Okay.
that she had moved on.
Okay. I can't think of anything else. Anything else you'd like to bring out about, especially about contact between adoptive parents and birth kids that we haven't discussed?
I think we haven't discussed my family and how important the contact with Ruthie has been, because we have been open since the birth of our first child with them that I placed Ruthie for adoption. We've just always discussed it in our own. And so for years, she was just this little girl in a picture on the piano. And so to now know her and relate with her and love her has just been, it's been so precious for each one of my children. And there's just a bigger picture there. It's like the melding of two families in some way. And even discussing this week, what do we call Craig and Deb? That my children were asking this. I'm like, well, I don't think it works to call them by Mrs. and their last name, because that's too formal. And so it's like Ruthie said, it's like this whole relationship that you can't really describe.
We tried to compare it for a while to like, oh, Aunt Stephanie, but it's like, no.
It's just it's really different. And so, but that contact has been so good with my entire family and my husband too, because he just loves Ruthie and adores her and tucks her in when she's there at our house and stuff too. And that's just been vitally important for everyone, for closure for everyone.
So contact, and this is something maybe most of us who are not involved in adoption on a personal level may not think about, but contact was just very important to you for your other children.
Mm-hmm. Yes, very much.
So even before those children were born, your desire to maintain contact with the adoptive parents has turned out to be of a benefit to your other children.
Absolutely, to our whole family. It's been a great blessing for all of us.
They do ask interesting questions
They do.
about why Ruthie has two mommies.
And then I say, maybe you should ask your mommy that.
The older ones don't ask that, but the little ones still are trying trying to figure everything out. So
Yeah, I guess I guess it can be complicated, and we still don't really have words
Right.
yet to do, like you said.
Right.
What
There's
do we?
no like lingo for
Yeah,
it.
it's
Right.
just something everybody has to work through on their own.
and you just have to relax and talk about it.
Right.
Like it's not an off, like, oh, don't ask that. You
Right.
can't do that to them. You just have to relax and say, this is the answer I have today.
Mm-hmm.
And but more answers come every day. I
Right.
think as we learn what this is supposed to look like. And
Or if it's even supposed to look like anything,
Right.
you know.
right.
That's how I feel.
And I imagine, I don't know about Stephanie, but I know for Ruth and I, people are very confused when we say, oh, well, we're gonna go this weekend and we're gonna be with Ruth's birth family and we're gonna all have dinner together and they're like, what?
Why
And
would you
or Ruth
do
is
that?
spending the weekend with her birth family this week, or Ruth was at the birth of her youngest half-sister recently, and they're all like, what?
That's
And
funny.
I'm like, yeah, and so the whole concept is so unusual
Yeah.
for everyone involved,
But
when
that's
I'm-
a tribute to Deb, because Deb has always encouraged Ruthie to love us, and so that's what's made that possible.
And I've said that. I said that this morning.
Yeah.
I can't be more thankful for that.
Yeah.
Because I can't imagine for you how difficult that must have been to be like, you're my baby, but I need to raise you to love this woman who's made you my baby.
Right.
You know? And I just like, now being a 20-year-old and being where I'm at in life, I'm so thankful for that. And I'm so thankful that she didn't raise me to be like, oh, well, she just didn't have time for you and she didn't want to, she wanted to deal with you. But you raised me to love her and just really respect and honor to the decision that she made to give me the life I live right now and give me the opportunities that I have. And I can't be more thankful for that. And just for her freedom just to not allow me to have a relationship with Stephanie, but to just release me to do that. And it takes a lot of trust, and it takes a lot of open communication.
Well, and as I said before, I think for me, I only regard Stephanie as someone with tremendous strength. I can't imagine the strength it takes to put a baby in another woman's arms and trust her. I mean, in my opinion, that is the greatest gift one woman can give another woman. And so for me to not honor Stephanie, to not recognize her as a vital part of my life, I would not be a mother if it were not for Stephanie's gift. And so I can't do anything but honor that and encourage that in my daughter, because that is why I'm a mother. It's because of that.
Well, thank you very much. This is just an amazing story, and I don't know how often a story like this gets to be told with, birth mother, adoptive mother, and adoptee all sitting in the same room. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Cut and then